you know, you were a poor person, so they're asking for, just a moment, like I said, you know, it's good for you to donate to the church, but, you know, people, you just like, when you actually walked away from me, you were chatting to me, and you didn't ask me for a donation, but the guy at the first, he asked a donation. Then he said, can I tell you something? And I thought, what's this guy want now? You know, when at Bible Bash, I thought, I'm on my phone and I'm thinking and I'm busy. And I thought, what's this guy want now? And I went, yeah, you can tell me. And I just carried on my phone, and he ended up just walking away, this guy. And then that's when the girls came along. And like I said, they're a good bunch, they're an happy bunch, I'm sure. But I actually think there's a lot of people that go to church, and as I said before, it's one of them, if you give them a peso, that guy only give a peso, and then you're a joke, aren't you, to a lot of them, not all of them. You know, like I said, a lot of really good people that go to church. But, you know, I actually did bump into a pastor many years ago, quite a nice guy. And, you know, I came from England, guys, and I were working, like, oh, listen, all us guys, we have to work to do us dreams. You know, for you to come to the Philippines, you have to work, you have to save. A lot of you are nice guys, you know, you give, you help people, and a lot of the people in the church are the same. But not everyone in the church are the same, are they? They're not all good people, are they? You know, they come out to church and they worship God, and then as soon as they come out of church, they're marites, they're saying bad things about everyone, they're gossiping, and you know, it's oh, look at her, look at him, and they're like, you're definitely correct, we're all damn sinners, we're all sinners, we are all sinners, some more than others. They're saying bad things about a lot of people, and like I said, you can dress in a nice dress, you can have nice hair, you can be nice looking, you know, but you know, a lot of you, to be honest, are very, very fake, right? A lot of you are very, very fake. And this is what I actually find about church people. Now, I went to church a good number of years back, and I met a pastor, and what I actually found, you know, when we come to the Philippines, we have to work. Listen, money, as soon as you start to chat about money to a church, they want that donation, that's it. Then they want to bugger off, right? Or they want you to join church. Don't want to join church. I don't want to go to church. I've got better things to do than go to church. I've got things to think about, okay. So I don't want to go to church. I don't know where this dog's going, but I do know him, so he's okay. Probably going hunting around for something, I don't know. Hello! He's not saying anything. So, church, when we come to the Philippines, we have to save money for a number of years, we have to plan it, and we save us money, right? So we save us money to be able to get here. But you know, as soon as you start to chat to a church person, like I said, a lot of good people go to church, very nice, good people. But as soon as you chat to some of these church people, you know, listen, the world needs money, right? The world doesn't rotate without money. We need money for everything. So we need money for everything. We need money for food. You won't be going to church if you've got no money. You won't be able to get to church if you ain't got no money. So maybe that's why church is keeping you guys so very, very, very poor. You know, you can say something to a church person, and like I said, there's a lot of nice people in church. You know, you can say, like, for instance, I can't think of something to say, but you know, you'll say to a church person, "Oh, it's going to rain." You know, I hope this typhoon that's coming, it doesn't blow all my coconut trees down. With God's grace, sir. Well, with God's grace. Well, to be honest, you know, God's gave you everything. He's gave you these, right? He's gave you these. He's gave you your hands so you can work. God is not going to come and he's not going to knock on your door and say, "Hello, sir, here you are, there's a bag of rice, a chicken, a jellybees, and 10 million pesos." God's not going to do that, is he? You know, it's up to us to do that. It's up to us to work. It's up to us to follow his passions, follow his dreams. And we have to work for his money, don't we? So that's what we have to do. And, you know, it's as simple as that, really. So, there's a lot to be said for church. I met this pastor. And I had a budget when I came to the Philippines, third time in the Philippines. When I first came to the Philippines, I had a budget and I overspent a lot of money, and I just got back home the last time. You know, we are actually walking home when I got back to England because I got a fine and everything else. So, you know, I can't think of the point just a moment. This pastor, you know, like I said, we've saved us money up for years and years. And this pastor, I was chatting to this pastor, and he said, "Do you have your own house back in England?" And I said, "Yes, I have my own house back in England." And he said to me, "Which I actually don't have an house, right?" And that's a long story. So I don't have an house in England. I don't have anywhere to go in England. So I said, "Oh yes, I've got my own house in England." A bit of a lie, so to speak. It weren't really my house, it was my mum and dad's house. So, you know, I'm a sinner. Right, so I said, "Yes, I've got my own house." And what this pastor wanted, he wanted me to pay for him and quite a few others to come to England and chauffeur him about for a couple of weeks. And I thought, I don't know where you get your ideas from. You think because I'm a white guy, a foreigner, I've got all this money. No, we don't. We have to work for the money. You know, and he wanted me to bring him, you know, fly him to England, put him up at my house for 2 weeks. And then he wanted me to like chauffeur him all over the place where I live and take him to different places. And I thought, wow, you know, no one does this no one's ever done this for me. You know, I've never heard of anything so ludicrous. We don't have that kind of money, but a lot of people in the church, with all the donations, they do this. They go to Thailand, they might go to England, buy donations off the church. Like I said, a lot of lovely people in the church. And I thought, wow, you know, I can't really do this. And it was like a bit of a problem. And it took a little bit of sinking in. So it took a little bit of sinking in, this did. And I thought, well, I honestly couldn't get it in my head. I thought, well, where does he think I'm getting all my money from? And he thinks I'm going to fly him to England. I'm on a budget. And he thinks I'm going to put him up in my mother's house. You know, like quite a few on them, so to speak. And it was just a bit crazy and a bit ludicrous, really. So, you know, I thought it were a bit crazy and ludicrous, but I think with all donations some of these people at church get, they can do this, but I can't do that. We don't have that type of money. And what I actually found, I actually found these Bible bashers to be quite nice girls, but I'm big on body language. It's one of my things. I could see this one at this side, sure. And like I said, if you're bored, don't talk to me, go away, or sit down, or just don't bother coming and preaching to me. You know, I'm always nice to you, I'm good-hearted, And you know, if you can't see that, just don't come and talk to me if you're a Bible basher. But I understand now. You know I haven't got any money. You probably won't come and chat to me anyway. You know, so you know, God bless you. So you know, that's it. There's a lot to be said about church. I'll have a sit down one day. Maybe I'll chat about it live, or I'll chat about it at night when I get back home. I'll give it a good go, so to speak. I mean, I've got most of my friends, I've met them on YouTube. You know, I've met them on YouTube, and I have got a few, you know, and people that do help support me, you know, thank God, and I do appreciate it. So to everyone that has actually supported me and carry on to support me, God bless, guys. But like I said, you know, it's a nice thing to believe. Look, I'm christened a Christian. So I'm christened a Christian. You know, am I going to go up to God? I don't know. And I'm not brainwashed. So to you church people, you believe what you believe, okay, but, you know, question things. Don't be brainwashed. And it's pointless you coming to someone like me and trying to brainwash somebody like me. I know you don't see it as brainwashing. You see it as it's in the Bible. And like I said, if that's what you believe, God bless. And like I said, I'm sure there's a lot of lovely people that go to church. And I'm sure there's a lot of crazy ones that go to church too. Now, with me walking up and down here, I wanted to chat about some things in church. But listen to this one, right? But I forgot because there's always a damn motorbike or something happening. So listen to this one. You know, I'm chatting to these ladies and I never mention money. I never mention money. I mentioned money once to this guy. He came up to me, this guy, and he says, "Can you give me something?" And I went, "No, sorry." And, you know, I patted me, you know, I went like this with my pockets. I went, "No, I'm sorry, I don't have anything." And they were like looking at me to basically say, "You liar, you know, you're a foreigner." And I went, "No, I'm sorry, I don't have anything." And he said something and then he walked off. And then when I started to chat to the girls, you know, listen, money makes the world go round. You know, like I said earlier on, I'll repeat it. We need money. We need money to live. Listen, money makes you happy. But you do not need money to make you happy. But you need money to live, to eat food, to travel. So, you know, there's nothing wrong with, you know, chatting about your dreams. And for me to like just say, well, you know, I'd like to go to Thailand and I'll have to save money. That's me chatting about money. I'd probably be just chatting about going to Thailand or getting back to England. I need money to get back to England. And I'm not a money person. I don't really chat about money. You know, I've got friends. Well, I don't know about friends, but I know people and all they chat about is money, money, money. They're very money oriented and that's all they care about. But, you know, it's as simple as that. So I'm chatting to these ladies, and before the ladies actually go, you know, I actually did notice these. I've met these ladies 6-7 years ago, not from the same church. Ain't it funny? I met them in the fields, about 7 or 8 on them. It weren't the ladies I was chatting to, but it was some of the ladies what went to the same church in Zone 1. Right. So, you know, before they went, one of the ladies, you see, quite a few people, I am very, very, very well known in Mercia, right? I'm very well known in Mercia. I don't have a lot of friends in Mercia, but there is a good few friends, you know, as a friend goes, you know. And they walked away, these ladies, and one of these ladies, girls, she went, "Hey, why does he always talk about money?" And that's like a bit of an insult for me. And I never chatted to you about money, right? I never chatted to you about money. It's you that came to me, and you come and you're prim and you're proper and you're smiling and you've got your thing and you ask for a donation when we ain't got a don. You walk away and then you start to chat about people because she's here. Where have you been? Don't know where she's been. She's come back to see what I'm doing. So, you know, it was one of them. They went away and, oh, that guy, you know, why he chat about money. And then they said, I think when they did walk away, a few of them people will have had something bad to say about me. I'm sure about that. Because somebody heard what you said and someone told me. And I just thought, well, you know, you seem to be nice people. Right. Let this guy get past. So you seem to be nice. So you seem to be nice people. But, you know, then you walk away and you start to say bad things about people. So you reckon to be church goers and you reckon to be nice people in church. But, you know, are you really? Let me stand in front of me dog. Because if a bike comes, I'll just stand there. So he'll either hit me or dog and I won't move. Right, so let him pass. Aye. So, you know, you're prim and you're proper, but then, like I said earlier, you just go, don't you? And then you start to say bad things about that person. Or, you know, you go to church. Oi, move off at road. Right. So, you know, you start to say, oh, look at that dress she's wearing. Or, you know, you reckon to be Christians or Catholics, whatever. Like I said, a lot of good people go to church and there's a lot of bad ones. And because I don't go to church doesn't mean I'm a bad person. But I'm sure to a lot of you, oh, he's a bad man. So, whatever you want to think. Something else. Right, there's two genders. There's male and there's female. Two genders, not three gendered genders. There's two, right? And, you know, if you're a lady boy, you're a gay man or a gay woman. If you're a lady boy, some of the church people believe because you're a gay, you won't go to heaven. This is in some of the religions. And I actually find this to be a bit ludicrous. Because if you're a gay man, a gay woman, you know, and you're a good person, or I think you probably will go to heaven, okay? And but some of the churches don't believe that, do they? They believe if you're actually a gay man, you won't go to heaven. And like I said, I actually don't believe that. Just because you're a gay man or woman, but just because you're a gay person, I still think you'll go to heaven if you're a good person. And you don't have to go to church. Listen, if you are a good person, right, and God is this absolutely, God died for you and God's a good man, right, you'll still go to heaven, right, you'll still go to heaven. And like you said, my dear lady, we are all sinners here, some more than others. Have a great day, take care, God bless. Please like, please subscribe, please share the video. Other ones here now, look. She's here. Hey! So that's these two. Oi, come on. Right, she's fair. She's rough. She plays rough. Right, so that's what happened to me on a Sunday. I had a few angels chat to me. And like I said, I've not seen them for a while, so I'm sure they've been around the different barongays, and I'm sure they've been collecting. But like I said, money, listen, money, you can do good things with money. I mean, I've gone into money because, you know, what one of the ladies actually said when she walked, you know, they walked to, and I thought, oh, they're a nice bunch. But then I thought, well, are they a nice bunch really, you know, because I'm sure they'll have been saying some bad things. So why are you going to church? If you're going around and you're saying bad things about people, you know, you've got double standards, haven't you, you know. And I actually did tell you, I don't know if I'm going to go up, and I don't know if I'm going to go down, God knows. And I believe in ghosts because I've seen ghosts. You've never seen ghosts. And I actually do believe a lot of you guys that go to church, you don't understand nature. You don't understand all this. You don't know how the ecosystem works. When I were a little boy, I grew up, and, you know, you'd find a dead owl, a dead hawk, a dead eagle, a dead rabbit. And, you know, that's part of nature. And if I die, I might just die like that. You know, I might just die in a forest, in a wood. I might rot away. I'll feed the worms. I'll feed the insects. Did God not put nature on this planet? So that's something for you church people to think about, nature. But I'm sure you'll have your own little, you know, brainwashed, and I do think a lot of you are brainwashed. Anyway, I'm on a touchy subject here, so like I said, take care, God bless, guys. You know, I think this video is going to be maybe too long, so, you know, I'm listening the music in the background. Happy week ahead.